Hi, and welcome to the Health Begins with Mom show. I am Dorit Palvanov, your host. On this podcast, I will share insights and interviews on health, parenting, and explore the question of what does it take to thrive as women, wives, and mothers. Now, let's get going with today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Health Begins with Mom podcast. This is Dorit Palvanov, your host. Today on the show, I wanted to read to you a post I posted in my Instagram account. So for those of you who are not following me, head on over to Instagram and find me by @healthbeginswithmom. So I posted this post and it's called How to Be a Mom in 2019. It's not my post. I haven't read it. I haven't written it. I just reposted it. And then I made a comment. So I'm going to read it to you and then we're going to talk about it. So it goes like this. How to be a mom in 2019. Make sure your children's academic, emotional, psychological, mental, spiritual, physical, nutritional, and social needs are met while being careful not to overstimulate, underestimate, improperly medicate, helicopter, or neglect them in a screen-free, processed foods-free, plastic-free, body-positive, socially conscious, egalitarian, but also authoritative, nurturing but fostering of independence. Gentle but not overly permissive, pesticides-free, two-story, multilingual home, preferably in a cul-de-sac with a backyard. Oh, and also, don't forget the coconut oil. So that's the post. It is not mine. I don't even know who it's by. It's somebody unknown. And that's what I've written. That's the comment that went along with it in my post. And that's written by me. So I say this. What's the first reaction you get from reading this? Am I the only one feeling anxiety just from reading this? And yet this is exactly what we're supposed to do. I have supposed in quotes. And then supposed to do, right? Wrong. I don't think parenting is supposed to be all-consuming. It is not about curating every single moment of our children's lives as well as ours. It is not about following the rules, dogmas, books, constructs, etc. It is about educating yourself, but then trusting your intuition and discernment what's yours and what's not yours to follow. This hit me yesterday as my 9-year-old daughter told me, "Mommy, I'm not going to do this because it's stressing me out." She's 9, you guys. I don't remember that I ever felt stressed or anxious at that age. I was too busy chasing boys at the park. So what are we doing to our kids? Let's just all exhale and allow ourselves to be and remind us to balance out all the things that we're supposed to do with things that we actually need, like laughter, play, swaying our hips more, and letting our hair down more. I refuse to believe that parenting has to be soul-sucking. Does your child also speak openly about anxiety and stress like mine? What are some other words that they use? And I got a bunch of replies and people are really resonating with this. And obviously, the majority of my followers are moms. And I wanted to start off with this because in my practice, I see this topic coming up again and again and again. And specifically, and again, obviously, this is my own perspective on things, right? This is my show. This is totally biased. But that's how I digest things. I work with women who come to me because they are struggling with their health, with mothers who have some kind of ailment or some kind of challenge, whether it is with their thyroid, with their hormones, with their libido. The majority of my clients are actually women who have who are struggling with low libido and who are really craving to reignite that female desire that they once had. And I find that as we are working together through, through things, and I have my modules and the content and all those things, they find it so challenging to implement the content and to find time for the content because they are just overwhelmed with the chaos. Now, I have to say that the chaos, in most cases, if we're really, really honest, if we're really, grabbing that magnifying glass and opening up, that book of their life and looking deeply, looking diligently into their life, I can see how all of this chaos is really manifested. It is, what's the other word? It's socially conditioning. It's a social conditioning that we as women, as little girls really, and I say this as a mom of 3 girls, we are conditioning our children, we're socializing our girls to do and achieve and be good and be loving and be kind and be nurturing to others on the expense of us. And that's clear to me. And like I said in this post, my daughter is 9 years old and she's already using the language of I'm too stressed. What does it say about us as a culture? Our children are they're like mirrors of us. And if she is saying that, that means that she had seen me. And also, the other women in her life, I believe that more than me, hopefully, I think she sees her teachers being really stressed and using that language and behaving and using that behavior and showing that behavior in their day-to-day. And that is not a judgment. I don't say this as judgment. I just say it because we are teaching women in this society to be overachievers and overgivers and over nurturers and hustlers. And that is just not right. I can share with you, my daughter, I was just mentioning the teachers. My daughter came to me one day and it was so beautiful to hear a 9-year-old conveying her perspective or how she sees that, the adults in her life from a perspective of a child. Basically, she shared with me how there's just one particular teacher who is very clearly not taking care of herself, right? And my daughter is 9 and she is already able to pinpoint that, right? And that is something actually I do take credit for because I teach my daughters to pay attention to those things. And I teach them, I spend a lot of energy and a lot of time educating and teaching them and training them to have to master their emotional well-being, but also something that is called sensual intelligence. So emotional intelligence, but also sensual intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence is something that is it's basically at its core, it's the ability to name their feelings, right? So you should know how anger, sadness, frustration, disappointment, how that feels like in the body. But also sensual intelligence, it's knowing how to name the different sensations in the body, right? So if you feel anxious, where in your body do you feel it? Is it in your tummy? Is it in your chest? Is it in your throat, right? So that is how we're learning to feel really embodied as human beings. And really using the wisdom of our body and working with it, and as opposed to being against it. So anyways, she was sharing with me how there's this one particular teacher who, and I quote, that's my daughter's language. She said, "Mommy, this teacher, she's always red and she's always so stressed." And then I asked her, "Honey, tell me more. What exactly do you see?" She's like, "Mommy, it's like she's squeezed." And I absolutely loved it. I grabbed my daughter and I gave her this huge squeeze. And I said, honey, that's amazing. That's so beautiful that you were able to see it. And that is how a child sees, that is how a child experiences our behavior, our stress, our anxiety. It's literal, literally feels like your juice, your grit is squeezed out of you, which is why so many women resonate when I say, do you feel like you are sucked dry? Right? And so, and I think this our society, and especially well-meaning gurus who are writing books and are educating and having podcasts and are talking openly about them being hustlers and being high achievers and being ambitious, and all of that is beautiful. I am high achiever as well. I'm ambitious too, but not the entire time, and certainly not the entire cycle of my menstrual cycle. I'm very well aware of me living in alignment with my cycle, with my menstrual cycle. I'm well aware of my alignment with the moon, and I am not willing to play that game or play that role that society is dictating for me, because that is a very sure recipe to get and to head to burnout, right? And I hear gurus and experts talking all the time about, oh, balance is BS. There is no such thing as balance. Well, I don't agree. I strongly disagree. There is something that is called balance. That is why women all over the world are struggling with work-life balance. That's the first thing they say. And I believe that intuitively we know that it's hard. It's hard, but there is balance. And what I think that should be spoken about more is not the lack of balance, but embracing that the balance is not always constant, right? So if you think about balance, the thing that comes to my mind is a scale, right? So what we're looking for the scale to be always leveled, right? So you want to feel like your career, your work, your creative expressions are going to feel as good as your home life and work life and marriage and friendships and all of that, all the things that are life. Although in the very first podcast episode, I think it was episode number 2 or maybe 3, I spoke about how how balance is actually the wrong language. What we should be striving for is harmony, right? Because when we feel harmonized, that is when that feeling of, the opposite of being squeezed or being sucked dry is feeling joyful and feeling full and feeling really happy and vibrant. And anyways, I'm getting off of a tangent here, but the point is that don't fall for that, for that hustler, hashtag hustler, or hashtag, ambitious motherhood, or whatever, any other definitions that are out there in the world right now, because I feel like these don't take into account the cyclical nature of women, and they don't take into account the fact that as women, we have what is called intuition and what is called also the power of discernment. And I wish to see a world where more and more women would embrace more of that. What is discernment? What is the difference between judgment, for example, and discernment? So when you're judging someone, you are working with your head, right? And there is a lot of this is right, this is wrong, you should do this, you should do that, you should choose this over this, right? That's judgment. Discernment is educating yourself, like I said in that post, right? Knowing what is available in the market, but then saying, you know what, that is for me, that is for me. All of those are not for me. Right now, I don't have the time, the energy, the interest to invest the energy and the time into this, and I'm willing to be discerning and to let that go. That is the difference between being, judgmental and being somebody who who has to make decisions and who has to, quote unquote, do the right thing, and between a woman who is fully embodied, who is strong in her presence, and who is discerning, right? And that is my wish for myself, that is my wish for my girls, and that is my wish for each one of my clients. Because if we don't live like that, then what is the point? What is the point? Why do I choose? Like, for example, I keep thinking about this like that. My daughters, I have 3 girls. Why on earth will I encourage them to become moms? You think of that question. Why on earth will I encourage her and say, oh my gosh, honey, of course, motherhood is the best and you should become a mom? Why would I do that? Why would I encourage her to do that? To go through that pain if it's not really rewarding? Because, let's be honest, it is more hard than it is rewarding, right? Especially in the beginning, especially when the kids are really little. So let's be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves. And so for me, in order to enjoy my motherhood journey and in order to give my kids what I know that I can give and what they came to this world to get from me, is to know more about myself and to understand myself better as a human being, but also as a female. And that is my little rant for you. And the way I'm going to finish this off is by a beautiful article I found online. It is called "Self-Care is Not Enough to Fix How Much Moms Are Burnt Out." And I think it's just another way to say the same things that I just shared with you. And I'm glad that this article, I found this on the website www.mother.ly, Motherly. And it's a huge website. It's a modern lifestyle brand redefining motherhood, and I'm glad that they are talking about this stuff, because it means that I'm not crazy, and I'm not the only one feeling and thinking like this. And it's time for more of us to bring this conversation upward and to be constantly asking for the things that we need, as opposed to saying yes to everything and serving and constantly be serving everybody else on the expense of us. So I hope you enjoy it. Again, it's called "Self-Care is Not Enough to Fix How Much Moms Are Burnt Out," and it's written by Diana Spalding. A little bit about the author. I'm just going to scroll down. Diana is a Motherly's digital education editor. She's a midwife, pediatric nurse, and founder of Gathered Birth. She loves all things birth and is passionate about empowering women to trust themselves and embrace their inner rock star. Diana lives outside Philadelphia with her husband and 3 amazing, goofy kids. All right, my love, I'm sending you off with so much love and so much healing, and enjoy the article. Bye for now. Self-Care is Not Enough to Fix How Much Moms Are Burnt Out by Diana Spalding. I sat in bed, haphazardly staring at my phone, my thumb robotically scrolling through Instagram posts for moms, clearly doing it better than I was. My back ached from my hunched posture, but adjusting my body felt like too much work. From down the hall, a little voice called out, "Mom, I can't sleep." And all I could muster were the words, "Okay, babe." No solutions offered, no words of consolation, because I had run out of solutions, run out of words. Cautiously, my sweet husband asked, "Babe, you doing okay?" I considered the question. I ran through through the mental load quietly yet oppressively pressing in on me. The ever-present worry, guilt, stress. I thought of the ways so many women I know answer that question. Not the "so great, how are you?" we say a little too loudly to make it sound more believable. The real answers that we share when we feel like it's okay to be vulnerable. "I am running on fumes. I am depleted. I don't even know. But I shouldn't complain. I'm lucky in so many ways. I love being a mother. I love my life." So instead of laying it all out there, instead of addressing the vulnerable parts, I simply replied, "I'm fine, babe. Today was just hard." Okay. Well, let's find some time this weekend for you to do something by yourself for a few hours. He's embraced my self-care is important for mom's soapbox and tried as hard as he can to help me live it. But the truth is that self-care is not enough. And it's time that we stop telling moms that a simple act of self-care will undo the years of culture-induced overwhelm that is causing us all to burn out. There is no bubble bath that will hush the constant underlying buzz of anxiety. There is no girls' weekend away that will undo the isolation of a fourth trimester spent without a village. There is no nap that will revive the energy poured into balancing a career with motherhood. There is no glass of wine that will ease the accumulating effect of all the ailments we haven't had time to see a doctor about. Moms are burnt out, and our society needs to start caring. Motherly's 2019 State of Motherhood survey found that 51% of moms feel discouraged when it comes to managing the stress of work and motherhood. About 1/3 of moms said that their mental and physical health is suffering. And 80% of moms said that our society does not do a good job of supporting mothers. That's 85%. Society is asking you to nurture in an environment that does not nurture you back. So, darling mama, please hear me. You are not imagining your burnout, and your burnout is not your fault. You are burnt out because from the moment you announced your pregnancy or plan to adopt, you were bombarded with unsolicited advice and stories about how awful your upcoming experience would be. You are burnt out because you had to return to work before you were ready, and then shamed for not breastfeeding your baby for long enough. You are burnt out because you feel like you have to continually justify your decision to leave the paid workforce. You are burnt out because you eat leftover goldfish and sandwich crusts for lunch. You are burnt out because you are constantly juggling the pressure to spend ample time being truly present with your child with the pressure to have a clean and decluttered home. You are burnt out because you, after a day of constant toddler touching, you feel like you should be fresh, sexy, and available for your partner. You are burnt out because the news is exhausting and defeating. You are burnt out because not a day goes by without something reminding you of the baby weight you still haven't lost, of that perfect body lost. You are burnt out because you are constantly reading and hearing new advice about the best way to raise your child and balancing with that contradictory ways your family and in-laws are telling you to do it. You are burnt out because no matter how many coupons you cut, how many vacations you don't take, you still can't find a way to dig yourself out of debt. You are burnt out because you know your child shouldn't watch another show on TV, but you just don't know how to make dinner happen without it. You are burnt out because your third babysitter in 2 months just gave their 2-week notice and the wait list for daycare is impossibly long. You are burnt out because you miss your friends. You're burnt out because you've poured from your cup for so long that you've forgotten how to tilt the cup upright and save time for yourself. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mama, you are not doing it wrong. It's just that hard. Now, and your burnt out is not your fault. Now, some of the new answers to these problems are obvious, but most are not. Because these are not problems you have created. These are manifestations of cultural shortcomings that leave moms hurting. Though it's not right or fair, it is up to us to fix them. Because it doesn't seem like anyone else is going to. It's not taking a bubble bath, and it's definitely not having an extra glass of wine at night. It's about being vulnerable. By saying that you refuse to buy into the notion of the perfect mother or the perfect wife. By being authentic, even when you're authentically burnt out. By being honest. If you haven't had a chance to watch Brené Brown's Netflix special, I cannot recommend it enough. In it, she talks about how courageous it is to be vulnerable. In a 2013 interview with Forbes, Brown said, "Vulnerability is about showing up and being seen. It's tough to do that when we're terrified about what people might see or think, when we're fueled by the fear of what other people think, or that gremlin that's constantly whispering, 'You're not good enough,' in our ear. It's tough to show up. We end up hustling for our worthiness rather than standing in it. But mama, what if you did stand in your worthiness? Even if your house is messy, even when your toddler is melting down in the grocery store, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. What if you stood among the mess and declared your worthiness by saying no, by asking for help, by stating what you need without apology, and by holding space for other mothers to do the same? You might get ignored at first, you might get some side eyes, but by being vulnerable, by putting it all out there, owning your story, and supporting other mothers as they claim their worthiness, we start to make it better. Being vulnerable is incredibly uncomfortable. The good news is that no one on this planet is braver than a mother. So let down your guard, mama. It won't be easy, not one bit. But your bravery will inspire another mama, and before you know it, we'll have a culture shift on our hands. And then we can really enjoy that bubble bath. Did you like this article? Isn't it the best? Oh my gosh, I love how she expressed all the things that I think about and ruminate with. And I think if you're a mom, you will resonate with this very, very much. So if so, please head on over to Instagram and find me. I go by @healthbeginswithmom. My name is Dorit Palvanov. You can find me also over at my website, www.healthbeginswithmom.com. And if you are a mom who is struggling with her weight, her thyroid, if you have a low libido and you really would want more sex and more intimacy and to balance your hormones, if you have any issues like that you would really finally like to look at, then head on over to my website and click on the tab that says Let's Connect, and from there you'll get access to my online calendar, and you are welcome to book a free discovery call with me. We'll get on the phone, we'll talk about you will share with me all those things that you wish somebody asked you, because let's be honest, our doctors unfortunately don't ask these questions. And then we'll take it from there. We'll see if we're a good fit. We'll talk about your payment plan, and all of this good stuff. So again, if this is interesting to you, if you're ready and willing to finally, carve that space for yourself, then I am more than happy to be your coach and be your guide and help you have that transformation onto the other side. All right, my love. So I guess I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Health Begins with Mom show. I love hearing from you, so please post your comments and questions over at healthbeginswithmom.com/podcast. If you love the show, please share it on social media and in your real life with other moms who might enjoy this content. And if you have a burning question or topic you'd like me to hit on the show, just drop me a line at dorit@healthbeginswithmom.com. And if you love this show and really want to support it, please go to iTunes, write a review, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Much love and many blessings.